Support for this podcast comes from the patrons at patreon.com/FMLFPL.
Okay, welcome to another Fireside Chat. This is Walsh, and I have the pleasure to be joined with Luke Robinson from Up the Villa podcast. Luke, how you doing this morning?
Yeah, great, mate. Happy to be here as well. So yeah, can't wait to get into it.
Cool. Yeah, you got a nice little setup back there. The neon light, you got the Villa pictures, all that going, all good stuff. So let's open up, Villa squad, very busy. It seems like there's maybe one move a day this off season, and Villa have got all their business in seemingly done. And, maybe we expect some outgoings, but, what are you looking at just squad wise, just initial thoughts and where it is right now with Europe coming?
Yeah, I think we're sort of into Unai Emery's proper second season. I think this is like the full sort of season that we're getting into. We sort of had like half a season, so he's been here 2.5 years, and I think over time he's been building this squad, building his team, the team that he wants to foresee Villa to be in the future. I think we are still far from the finished Unai Emery article, but I think we're getting there. I think we have brought in two very, very good players that I think will enhance us and take us on. They've got different profiles, and that is Onana and Maatsen. Those two players I think are going to be quite crucial for us. We've let two go. I think Diaby was a bit, I don't think we wanted to let him go, but he's gone, so we can't turn down that Saudi money that's coming from him. And then Douglas Luiz has gone for PSR reasons. So, two probably first teamers have gone, but then we've brought in two first teamers as well. And then we've sort of bulked out the squad. I think last season when we had quite a lot of injuries, it really showed that players like McGinn, Tielemans were having to move around the team quite a lot. And, when you're sort of having an injury to say Kamara and McGinn's having to go there, you've kind of lost Kamara, and then you've sort of weakened further forward because you're taking a player out of their preferred position. So I think we've had a lot of players come in, and I think the actual bulk of our squad now is really competitive. So I think next season, we're going to have a real competitive side.
Yeah, it looks that way. I mean, my fear going into the summer for your team was that it's going to be like a Newcastle situation where you go up to Champions League, you're a little thin in numbers, you suffer a few injuries, you go hell for leather in those, Tuesday, Wednesday games, and then it trickles down to kind of tank the rest of your season. But I mean, you guys are really building a true squad with competition almost everywhere, and you must just be thrilled at that, right?
Yeah, I think, like you say, I think we kind of had that Newcastle scenario last season, really. With our injuries that we had, sort of like Buendia never kicked a ball, Mings didn't kick a ball, Ramsey only played like a handful of games, and we had Kamara with another knee injury as well. So we just had injuries all over, and towards the end of the season, it did feel like we were just like running on pure fumes towards the end. So I think with the experience of the Conference League and sort of playing in Europe and travelling and playing Thursday, Sunday, they should have put us in real good stead for this season. So hopefully there's no injuries and we can just really sort of tackle the season and try and go for it.
Yeah. So let's look at some more specific areas. The Maatsen signing, I like Maatsen a lot. We know that he's probably going to look at Konsa right back, where he's going to kind of play Maatsen almost as a winger, the one that's going to be getting up high. What is going on with Dean and Alex Moreno? How come they're still here? Are they going to be here? What's going on with the left back?
Yeah, I mean, we did an episode yesterday and we were going through the whole team and we were looking at the depth. And I was kind of saying, right, you want 2 players in every position, but 3 players, that means basically we're going to have 2 left backs on the bench, which you can't have 2 left backs on the bench, right, of good quality. So I imagine one of them's going to go, and you ask Villa fans which one you would prefer. You'll get some that say Moreno, some say Luke Dean. I think Moreno's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
There was a rumour of him going back to La Liga at the start of the window, so I think maybe in that area we'll probably see him go. I think Luke Dean's better at defensively, and I think if for whatever reason Maatsen was out, I think I'd feel a bit more comfortable having like Digne playing. So yeah, like you say, Maatsen, it's a really exciting one because, as you said, our left backs bomb on. They act as a left-sided winger, so I think Maatsen's got real good capabilities. He was player of the tournament in the Champions League, so he got in that sort of team of the Champions League, and I think he's got the ability to step into central areas as well, and he's comfortable playing there. So I think that's a slight option of what I think we could do as well. But Maatsen, I think he's going to be a big player for Villa.
Yeah. And in terms of just security of start, do you see him needing, I mean, you guys spent, club record fee on him. So, we can't imagine he's going to be babied into the squad. But do you imagine him just one of the first names on the team sheet, fit, playing every game kind of guy?
Yeah, I think although we've got a squad and there's going to be a lot of rotation in certain areas, I think there's a couple of players that pretty much will play the bulk of Villa's season, and I think Maatsen is one of those players that's just going to start literally every single game.
As much as he can.
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. And then the center back situation. I mean, you're expecting Konsa kind of over there at right back. Who do you see, or who would you, maybe two questions. Who do you think Emery is going to pick as his first choice center back pairing? Who would you like to see? I mean, you have some options there. I mean, Pau's obviously going to be in there. Who's the other one? I mean, two left footers with Mings. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, this is where I think we're quite light in the sense of if we go with what I prefer and what I think Emery prefers in big games, Konsa at right back, Carlos centre half and Pau, we don't have another central defender. So we're very, very light, and we haven't got any cover for Pau Torres either. So Longley was on loan last season, so he's gone back to Barcelona. So we're pretty light in that area, really. Nedeljkovic, who we signed last January, has looked quite good in pre-season. I think he's around 18 years of age, and he's one of the most sought-after young right-backs in Europe. That's what we've been told. So I think he's going to be pushing cash, and based on pre-season, I think he's looking pretty good, really. So I think that's the sort of rotation that we're going to have, really.
Okay. And Mings, is he not back yet?
No. So Mings is sort of back in the gym, but he's not gone to America on the pre-season tour. So we yet to see him sort of kicking a ball with sort of like the rest of the team, basically. So I think looks like he's probably going to be about 3 months away.
I thought he was supposed to be back for the season, so a few more months. Okay, yeah, so you are a little bit light in numbers there, but he can always also just switch to the put Konsa back at center back, right, and play cash. I mean, you do have some flexibility there, but okay. What do you think of Diego Carlos? You like him?
Yeah, he's a bit weird, really, because he got man of the match against Man City and he got man of the match against Arsenal.
Yeah,
and when you're looking at that, you're thinking, God, he must be, he had Haaland in his back pocket when we beat him 1-0 at home.
Yeah.
And then other times he'll just randomly pass to an attacker, and it's a bit like, how can you be so good against the big teams and then a bit loose with the others? So, it's one of them. I like him. And there was a lot of talk of whether we'd sell him, but I think because we're really light on numbers, I don't think we will. So, yeah, I think if you look at like the big games, I'm like, he's brilliant, but yeah, it's a little bit of a mistake in him at times. So hopefully you can iron those out and be
stay switched on for 90 against Ipswich when,
Yeah, definitely.
And then in terms of just overall clean sheets, you guys had a pretty low number last year, pretty symbolically low considering I would say the skill and the quality of do you imagine that, just ticking up a little bit, almost like regressing to the positive mean of maybe like the underlyings and stuff like that? Or are you still sort of, this team does have a lapse and concede a goal in them? How do you feel about just the defense in that kind of?
Yeah, I think Onana brings a bigger profile to Villa. I think we were absolutely awful at defending set pieces last season. That's got to improve, and I think Onana will help that basically. So I think, if you can, based on the whole of the top four last season, we were the worst team at defending set pieces, and I think if you can negate those little sort of like areas and be better, then the goals will, you're not going to ship as many in, are you? So hopefully, I think set pieces, we can iron those out. We play the high line, so as long as that's pretty solid, then I think we'll be okay in that area. But yeah, I think what happened was last season, because we lost Kamara.
Yeah,
and it has a knock-on effect to the rest of your team, doesn't it? Because when you lose someone of his quality, sort of. It weakens the side. So I think Onana should help us, and with all our players back, we should be a better unit, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the Kamara injury, he was barely available. Like, Doug can barely move. He has to do more defensive work. Again, as you're saying, right, everything kind of trickles down in the negative way. So, yeah, we'll see. And, let's maybe shift over to the midfield. It's an interesting group of names. Quickly, though, before that, who do you anticipate is going to have penalties this year? Is it going to be McGinn?
I think it should be Watkins.
Have you seen Watkins take pens before? Are you?
I've seen him, yeah. I've seen him. But here, listen to my logic.
Yeah, let's go.
So, basically, I feel like Watkins has had the moment that he needed at the Euros, scoring that goal. Okay. I think it will be a moment where he realises that he belongs on that big stage, and I think it will do his confidence the world of good. I think because 10 years ago, he was playing for Exeter, and I think he's always felt like he's had to prove himself, and the mentality sometimes just hasn't been elite enough. And I think now, hopefully, he comes back and he's like, I'm on him and I'm going to score him. So that's my logic. So I think it should be Watkins. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, you do have some pretty tough preseason games coming up. I mean, you have Leipzig, Athletic Club, Dortmund. So maybe we'll get some insight there when Watkins is back. And yeah, I don't know. Watkins on pens is, I totally, I mean, he said as much too. I mean, his work ethic and how much he runs and all this, can he step up to the spot and, you don't see brown doo-doo dripping down from on his thigh, which it seems like before.
Yeah, I think he's only got to score one. Once he takes the first one and scores it and gets the confidence in it, I think he'll be well away. I mean, last summer he got a striker coach to work on his finishing, and obviously it paid off because he had his best season, in front of goal in the Premier League. So maybe at England he's been working on them, because I know England are really big on sort of taking them and getting the routine. So yeah.
That's all he's like, thinking. I just want to, Southgate's just like, let's go to pens every game. That's all we do. We just practice penalties and play defense. That's it,
Yeah, that's what he was trying to do, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so maybe Watkins. Oh my God. Yeah, because, from the FPL standpoint, Watkins obviously hot finishing last year, no free goals is always tough. The pens are just free goals. And, if Watkins does have penalties and he gets those, 5-ish free goals, it's going to propel him into another stratosphere. So that would be interesting to see. But coming back, I kind of got ahead of myself with that. I didn't want to forget to ask about penalties. Midfield. So you got, it's an interesting group, right? I mean, Bailey, someone that we're really, really high on. We love Bailey, almost playing like as a second striker. Are you expecting him to take yet another step forward? I mean, the diminutive Jamaican, how do you guys like Bailey over there?
Yeah, literally, what a transformation, because, when he was having that poor patch and he just couldn't beat a man and he just had no confidence. And last season, he was absolutely unbelievable. And when he gets it on that left foot now, like, you're just waiting for that net to ripple, because he scored one in pre-season already, and he's just so good, and we absolutely love him now. So yeah, hopefully he can go on another level and just keep improving. And Champions League, he's going to be well up for it. And I interviewed his dad on our channel, and he was saying he wants to be the best player in the world. Like that's his mindset and that's his mentality. And I think, you know, if he's saying stuff like that, then, you know, he's only going to get better. And I think I love him. I do. I think he's great.
Maybe that's your penalty taker.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, Bailey. And did he have Champions League experience back before you got him from Germany? Didn't he have a couple of years? He was in there already, right?
Yeah, I think he experienced it at Leverkusen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Bailey looks good, and you know we know McGinn is sort of the heartbeat. You know, he's not really a pick in FPL, but you know keeps things ticking over. And Onana, as you say, covering Kamara a little bit. Maybe they'll both play depending on matchups. What about this Rodgers kid? I mean, you got Ramsey still. I mean, you got a lot of kids, and you brought Baranchea in, who's maybe a different profile. But how do you? I mean, there's too many guys almost. How do you kind of see this sorting itself out?
You know what I'd say? Anyone that wants to pick a Villa player should be all over Rodgers.
Oh my God. That's not what I wanted to hear. I was trying to write him off.
No, honestly, put him in there because he's 5 million, I think. Yeah, he's 5 million. And in pre-season, he's been playing in this shadow striker role that Diaby was playing in, and he looks phenomenal. And last season, before he got injured, for us, he was one of the first names on the team sheet. He was developing that well, and I think there's great value in him. I expect him to probably start the first game, and I think he's going to be really good this season. And I think he's going to get goals and he's going to get assists. So if he can make that position his own, then he's the man. So
you're imagining it's really going to be Ollie, Rodgers, ideally, and then Bailey. Those are going to be your three attackers. Yeah, and Ramsey's just kind of fucked.
No, because I think you'll have the double pivot, and then you'll have Bailey that will be on the right, and then you'll have the one on the left will be inverting a little bit, and then you'll have Watkins and a shadow striker. So in essence, that's right in what you're saying. So the two attackers that would be further forward would be Rodgers and Watkins, and then Bailey out wide.
So you're imagining more of a base rather than having three midfielders, a base of two. Like you think he's going to kind of go with when Kamara's fit, he's obviously in, like him and Onana, that's going to be enough. And then. So I think because what you've got to imagine is if your width on the right's coming from Bailey, your width on the left's coming from Maatsen, and then you've got midfielders, central midfielders in there as well. So that's the plan. I mean, it's time because you're going to be leaving a couple out, right? I mean,
Tielemans, Barkley. Like, the squad's stacked.
Yeah. For me, I hear what you're saying with Rodgers, and you know he certainly looks a prospect, and you know he's been playing well for a handful of games, but he's so young, and I just struggle to see him making anything his own, and he's just going to be consistently playing. I kind of, for me, imagine him more of horses for courses, maybe coming in and out, which for FPL is a nightmare. Mm-hmm. But you're saying no, like do you think this kid's the deal?
Yeah, I would say if we were playing West Ham on this week, Rodgers would be starting.
Yeah.
So I'd say I'm that confident Rodgers starts. I'd back him
because this is like he's probably going to start West Ham because he's been there, and some players aren't back yet. Mm-hmm. Arsenal game week 2, no, right? He's playing more defense.
You don't think?
He's going to probably play more defenders. I mean, I think that's going to be he's going to jam an extra midfielder in. No. You think he'll still go that attacking?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. All right, Luke. All right. This is interesting.
Trust me.
I do. You know way more than I do about Villa. It's not even close. I'm hearing you, man. I'm hearing you. Okay. And then can you talk a little bit about Baranchea? He's an interesting player to me, just from what I've read. I've not seen him play before. But what have you kind of seen from him so far preseason, and what's word around the club?
Yeah, so the early signs are pretty good, to be fair. I've been really impressed with him. I've been impressed with his movement off the ball, always wants the ball, keeps it ticking over, very, very tidy player. You wouldn't want him in your FPL team because I think he's going to be more of just like at the base of a midfield. But I've been impressed with him, to be fair. I think his tempo looks good. He looks good at receiving the ball under pressure as well. So I think he's going to be one that sort of develops under Emery and just tries to learn the Emery way and get better. So yeah.
Okay, and then the Philogene career arc has been interesting, but he's back. Do you see him really just as a backup, like get a good age profile and keep kind of playing, or do you think he could push, or just to be competitive in the squad?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I'm not sure on this Philogene back at Villa. I like him. I think he's got great ability, but game time. How much are we going to get? He's been promised game time from Emery. That's why he's picked Villa over, say, like Ipswich. And I just need to see. I need to see more signs that he can step up to this level, basically, and push Bailey. It's one thing sort of being back at Villa, but we've got to start to see performances and glimpses of what he could do in the Premier League as well. So, I think he's got really good ability, but I just need to see, a little bit more, because I think if, some Villa fans will say he's been brought in to replace Diaby. Now, Diaby's numbers last season were better than Bailey's. Barring goals and assists, is sort of like output. Every metric was better than Bailey. So, we have got to kind of replace those goals and assists from Diaby and the numbers and the performances. So, I think he's got to sort of step up quite quick, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the hope is that after getting a year in Championship, bulking up a little bit, that he's not going to be so lightweight now. And yeah, we'll have to see. He's an interesting one, though. I mean, he's pretty tricky. He's got good skill. Okay. And then up top, I mean, we know Ollie's the main man. Is Duran going to really go? I'm surprised to see so much around him leaving. Is he agitating for a move because he's not playing, or what's going on with him?
Agitating. He's he don't want to be here. He didn't want to be here the minute he got here. He's been sort of really trying to go to Chelsea, liking tweets.
Like everyone else in the world?
Yeah, liking tweets and all this weird stuff. And then that went cold, and he's been doing the hammer sign on his Instagram stories. And he's a wild character. Someone who's got unbelievable ability, but just simply doesn't want to sit on a bench and wants to move. So I think he's probably going to move, and it's probably going to be, I couldn't tell you where his career is going to go. He's either going to turn into an absolute beast, or he's going to just end up at loads of different clubs and move around quite frequently. So great player, good talent.
He's a nut job. He's just a crazy nut job.
He's crazy.
Okay.
Like but you expect
basically. Balotelli, you expect him to go. That's a matter of time. And so Archer back, he's going to be the backup. Is he happy to sit on the bench again?
That's a tough one. I mean, he can score goals. Give him a chance and he'll put it away. But it's everything else. It's the overall game. It's I don't know. We were quite creative with the deal that we did with Archer. Sort of, it was sort of like a glorified loan, but we sort of bought him back. Would we have wanted to buy him back? Probably not. So, I just don't know what happens with him really. But it is like the left-sided centre half with Pau. The striker position is a bit of a worry if something happens to Watkins, because who leads the line if something happens?
Yeah, I mean, Duran is the guy that would, in theory and on paper, be perfect to be the understudy. And also, if he's a psychotic person and won't do his job, then that's not going to work. I mean, it reminds me so much of Kane when he was at Spurs and how impossible it was to just have he never got hurt, a little bit, but have an adequate backup. I mean, being a striker and signing for Villa right now seems like such a difficult sell because you're just going to barely play. You're going to get maybe cup games, and Watkins is a fitness monster. So it's almost like you're not going to have someone good enough to replace him or push him because you're not going to spend 60 mil on that player, but Yeah. So, I mean, say Art Watkins were to go down. I mean, is there a midfielder who's going to kind of come up and play 9? Do you have that? What do you imagine you would do?
It'd probably be Rodgers.
Rodgers?
He'd probably have to go up there. I mean,
Yeah.
Like you're saying, the striker position's so tough when you've got a good one because, like you're saying, they all want to play, don't they? And you're fighting for literally one position. Same as the goalkeepers. Whereas midfield, if someone's out, then there's loads of different variations that you can have.
Yeah.
So, I think it's about sort of probably getting the right young player that's willing to learn and work under Emery and take chances and then come into the side. And but you've got to have the right mindset, haven't you? I think because if you haven't, then you've got problems.
Yeah. So you're saying maybe someone's going to come in after Duran goes for a striker, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are all in on João Felix.
Love him. What is the latest with that? I mean, I'm sure that's a really complicated deal to get over the line. Yeah. I mean, does he want that? Is he? Well, I mean, he's treated like a used condom over it. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him the last couple of years for a world-class player. I mean, going to Chelsea, it's been crazy with him, right?
Yes. So, I mean, when he went to Chelsea, Villa were in for him. That was Emery's first transfer window. Emery was really pushing to get him. And we've been linked all window. Fabrizio Romano is saying that he's Emery's dream signing. He's still his dream signing.
I wonder who's paying him to say that.
Like this is what we're having pretty much every couple of days. But like you say, it's difficult to get him. But the rumour's been there like all window, and it's not going away. All the Atletico Madrid channels are saying that Villa want him, and apparently he wants to come, but like you say, the deal's very difficult to get, and I imagine it's just going to go on and on and on. But it feels like I do think we are probably going to get him. I think we will get him.
I mean, that would be something. Talk about a Rodgers killer. There it is.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Put him in your team early.
Before the Felix deal gets done. Yeah.
Yeah, get your points in.
Love that. And then Ollie, I mean, not much to say there. You love him like every other Villa person I've ever talked to in my life.
Yeah, so I've recently put him on the wall, so he's now good enough to go on the wall. He's class. He's so humble, so hardworking, just like a model professional footballer. He's great. He's worked hard. He's getting better. I think he's around 16 away from our all-time Premier League goal scorer. So hopefully this season he can tick that off. But he's developed into a really lethal striker and works so hard for the team. And he's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if he had penalties, he would be in every team for sure. He would be one of the best picks in the game for sure. All right, man. And then I guess just wrapping up, looking forward to Champions. I mean, you must be very excited. Are you planning to go to some of the aways, or what's your life like over there?
Yeah. So season ticket holder. Hopefully, I can get to some of the aways. I went to the Olympiacos semi-final in Greece. That was great, even though we lost. But as a Villa fan, for me, I think this is probably going to be the best season I've ever seen Villa play. Like Champions League, Emery, how we are, where we are, what we're doing. I think we're in for a real good one. So it's exciting as a fan as well. So just embracing it really.
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for Villa. It's funny, I remember, there was the Hawkeye thing where you guys stayed up that year with the, that insanity. But I remember back when you had like Delph and Bon Lahore, and you guys just were the worst team in the league for like a couple of years. And to see you guys come up with Emery and, hitting these heights and, finishing the top 4 last year, it's great. It's really awesome.
Yeah, well, we've been on a journey. Cheers for reminding me. So I mean, Emery's just transformed this football club with what he's coaching, philosophy, culture. It's been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Palace supporter, so I know what it's like to kind of watch
Well,
some
you got
football
good
in the
things
doldrums.
going on with Glasner.
Yeah.
So
It's hopefully it's a similar trajectory. Roy is finally not coming back. I hope again ever, but we'll see where that goes. All right, Luke. So before we say goodbye, where can our listeners kind of find you, and where do you put your stuff out?
Yeah, so YouTube, we're an Aston Villa fan channel. Type in Up the Villa fan channel on YouTube and you'll find us, and we just do loads of variations of content. So yeah, come and check us out.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're a Villa fan, this has to be, I'm sure you already know of this channel, but I mean, it's pretty impressive, the amount of stuff you put out and the quality of it. I mean, I was kind of poking around a little bit, prepping for talking to you, and it's great stuff. So keep it up, man. Cheers for giving this to everyone. It's really awesome. And thank you so much for coming on. I love the chat, and I wish your team the best this year.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.